Alright guys, here we go. Game number 2 getting underway as I'm going to be bringing you MKP and Bomber playing each other as promised, finishing up this series today. So into the introductions. First off guys, spawning as our red Terran is going to be Bomber. And his opponent spawning as our blue Terran, MarineKing Prime. Going to be on the map Antigua Shipyard for this game number 2. So it should be interesting to see how this game number 2 shapes up. Obviously, we did see in game number 1, MarineKing took the game fairly convincingly at the end of the game, but was a little bit behind Bomber in a lot of cases right before he actually managed to push through Bomber's tank line. Used some very smart marine drops on the tanks to soften them up, and then when Bomber did not have his marine support with his tanks, just managed to stem in there and take out the rest of the tanks of Bomber, and from there Bomber just really couldn't reinforce his troops anymore. MarineKing was able to force the win out of Bomber, so going to be interesting to see how Bomber reacts to that initial loss in this game number 2 and see what MarineKing does in this game 2 to try and finish off this series 2-0 if he can. Obviously, if Bomber can win this game, we will go to a final and deciding game number 3, but we'll have to wait and see. So nothing going on just yet. Do have MarineKing obviously taking that very fast, or I should say normal barracks, but interesting enough, Bomber not doing anything just yet. So I'm kind of interested to see exactly what Bomber's going to do. I'm thinking he's going to actually just command center first. Does send the SCV down his ramp. Looks like he's actually thinking about whether or not he wants to do it, and yes he will. So Bomber going to be going for a very economic build, taking a bit of a risk early on here. He's just going to be going for that command center first. It's going to be very interesting to see what MKP is going to be doing here. Now, he hasn't taken any gas, so this could be a 1 racks into expand, which if that's the case, this could bode very well for Bomber. Does have his first barracks just now on the way. But if MKP is going to go 1 racks expand, that'll work out perfectly for Bomber. I'm expecting MKP to probably do that since he has not taken any gas just yet. So MarineKing going to be a little bit behind early on in this game, as Bomber is going to have that early fast command center and will have the economic advantage over MarineKing. Do see a second barracks already on the way. Thinking about taking one of his gases, but decides not to. MKP has just about enough minerals, now does have enough minerals to actually get that expansion command center down, and MKP, holy cow, he is going to take the gold base. So insanity in this game all over the place, going 1 racks expand into the gold base. So I'm not really sure how MKP is really planning on holding this base. Obviously as an orbital command, he can get a couple of mules down on there, it would be very good for him, but he's going to have to try and keep middle control here on the map. Now obviously, since Bomber did go with that command center first build, not going to be able to apply a lot of pressure to MarineKing very quickly. You even see him putting up a bunker, playing very defensively, so this could actually play into MKP's hands, oddly enough, but we'll have to wait and see. Luckily for MKP, Bomber not going with any kind of an aggressive build, or he could potentially be dead in the water. See right now MKP already adding on 2 more barracks. Is going to have a lot of mineral income once this command center does in fact finish up. No refineries for tech just yet. Bomber does have that 1 refinery. First couple of Marines now getting forward into that bunker. Bomber right now is trying to focus on his economy, but really what Bomber's going to have to worry about is this gold base right here, because as MKP ramps up his production, he could apply a lot of pressure to Bomber. Could even then eventually expand and take his natural as his third, assuming he can actually hold this front long enough to get some good use out of it. Now we do see Bomber kind of moving around the map here. Does have his 3rd barracks just now on the way. As you can see, MKP anticipating the extra income he will have, already building 5 barracks very quickly. Might actually do a little bit of a fast marine rush here with this gold expansion. You see him already muling over here to this gold base. Only really needs to get a mule or 2 down on that gold before it'll essentially pay for itself, even if he does lose it. So the longer that base is there, the more profitable it is going to be for MKP, obviously. Now you have Bomber getting his first tech lab, probably going to be getting stim or the combat shields first. Looks like he is going to go for stim first. Right now just operating off of a couple of barracks. Do see that he only has just 1 marine in that forward bunker. MKP piling up a lot of marines over here at the front of his base. Do see he is now getting up a engineering base somewhere. No, that's actually Bomber who's going to be getting up his engineering bay a little bit before MarineKing. See it over here in his natural, going to be starting his +1 attacks. Now you see Bomber going defensively over here to his front. Did see the 5 barracks of MarineKing. Is probably assuming MarineKing is going to be actually doing some kind of an all-in. But that is definitely not going to be the case. You see the very fast factory now coming behind this 3 racks for Bomber. Now MKP does have his tech lab just now getting added on. Is going to be getting his combat shields first. So will not have stim for a little while at the moment, but does have a lot of Marines out here on the map. Has been producing SCVs over here at this expansion. Look at the income tab, you can see MKP surprisingly actually a little bit behind in SCVs, but actually a little bit unsurprising since Bomber did go command center first, so I take that back. I will repeal that statement, and we can all just pretend it did not happen. Bomber adding on a couple of reactors to his barracks, 4th barracks going out as well. So it looks like he is going to be fairly heavy on the bio early on in this game number 2. MarineKing, lots and lots of Marines just piling up over here at the midpoint in the map, trying to keep possession of this gold base as long as humanly possible. Probably will even be able to think about taking this natural expansion in the not too distant future here. So we do see right now MKP looking pretty good. Does have the +1/+1 upgrades now underway. About to have his combat shields finish up. Does need to be a little bit careful because he will not have stim for a little while. Now Bomber is just about to get his stim up. Surprisingly, if we look at the unit counting station, Bomber about half the amount of Marines, but actually doing decent as far as economy goes. Does have this bunker to help him hold this front. MKP does have a lot of Marines, but does not have stim anywhere in his near future. Now Bomber's stim is just about to finish up. If MKP can attack him before the stim finishes, could be huge, but no, there's the stim by Bomber. And this is going to be very good for Bomber, but Bomber is going to have a hard time holding this. But with all those stim Marines, he may be able to hold his front here. Just needs to rally in some more reinforcements. MKP does not have stim. Is going to be forced to retreat. Just does not have enough Marines to actually break the front of Bomber. So he did do a little bit of damage as far as units go compared to Bomber. But really that is about all he did accomplish there. Now taking his 3rd base over here at his natural. The longer MKP can hold on to this, the better it will be for him. Reinforcing all of his barracks over there to that gold expansion. Do see a lot more barracks is now getting added on. Kind of surprised he actually did not just add a couple of reactors to some of these. Once he does take some of his gases, could have even taken his gases at this gold base to add some more reactors on, but that's alright. Can't just always add on some more barracks and then add on the add-ons later on. I know it's a little bit redundant, but that is definitely the case. Now MKP does have a little bit of a window here where he's not going to have stim for a little bit. Now Bomber really has no idea that that gold expansion is actually up, or he'd probably be moving out and trying to assault it. Just now taking his 3rd base over here at this blue mineral base. MKP getting a lot of use out of these gold minerals. You can see they're already down to just 700 minerals starting at 1500, so it has already about half mined out that gold base. So that will help MKP for the long game, as he will be able to just float this gold base if he wanted to one of these 3rd base locations later on. Bomber now is switching into siege tank production, does have siege mode on the way, starting to move out a little bit, just running right now off of these couple of 4 barracks. It does have the double engineering bay down, so he can do double upgrades once he does get his armory up. Armory is about to be on the way, has a couple of medevacs out, and it looks like he is going to push into the middle here. MKP is going to try and hold here, does not have stim though, and Bomber is going to actually take control of the center map position, hitting a perfect timing here against MKP. Takes out all the Marines in the center map. You can see right away MarineKing trying to lift that orbital and get it out of there if he can. Losing a lot of his worker force. Probably will lose this orbital command as well. Looks like MKP thinking about just sacrificing in all of those SCVs to try and save the orbital. Does manage to save the orbital, but not a whole lot of hope for all of these SCVs. Now MKP finally does have his stim. Moves forward to try and do some damage to Bomber. Bomber right now is 1-0 compared to MarineKing's 1-1. So MarineKing with the slight upgrade advantage does repel Bomber for now, but did lose a lot of his SCVs at that gold base. Is going to need to repair this orbital command so that he can use it as his 3rd. We're looking at the income tab now, guys. We can see MKP quite a ways behind. 45 harvesters to the 57 of Bomber. See MKP actually floating his factory out. Looks like he's not going to even go factory. He's just going to go straight medevac Marine. So going to be going off pure Bioforce is MKP. A lot of times you will see people add Marauders in and go MMM, but a MarineKing known to sometimes just go mass Marines in these matchups. We do have a single siege tank here now with Bomber's forces. Looks like Bomber wants to move out to check on that 3rd base expansion, see if MKP has it. 1 Marine will stim over, will not see if there's any expansion there, and now MarineKing actually pokes out a little bit. Siege tank siege is up. MarineKing gonna have to retreat for now. Is gonna actually try and fight into this and break the front here of Bomber. If he can take out Bomber's units, he will be able to break this, but right now MarineKing in a little bit of dire straits. is getting a little bit mineral heavy right now. Is adding on reactors to try and catch up with his production, going this mass marine style, but he's going to have to be careful because those siege tanks just do so much damage to his marines. Does now have a couple of reactors, needs to start producing some marines out of them. You see him queuing up a ton of marines right now, actually almost queuing up too many marines. Got a little bit behind with his macro there for just a moment, now having to catch it back up. And it looks like Bomber wants to try and get himself into a position to try and end the game here very quickly against MarineKing. Bomber running off at 3 bases, where MarineKing just running off of 2. Adding on more and more marines, but right now Bomber is looking to be in some very good shape, cutting off the reinforcements of MarineKing. See MarineKing pulling a lot of SCVs out of his main. Looks like he's going to try and break this front pretty soon here. Going to have to wait and see, as right now MKP losing a ton of his bases. Bomber now even taking the gold expansion. Here comes MKP, going to try and take out all of these siege tanks if he can. He can at least get the siege tanks. He might be able to clean this up and hold on. One siege tank still remains, though. A lot of marines reinforcing in for Bomber. All of his reinforcements moving forward. Can Bomber hold and break MarineKing? And it looks like that is going to be the case. And MarineKing probably going to be GGing out of here soon. Not sure he's going to be able to hold this, but MarineKing trying to do the miraculous and hold on here. Just throwing SCVs right now into the forces of Bomber. Just 2 marines over here and a couple of marines over here in the main. Did clean up Bomber's forces in the main. And now we do see it looks like MarineKing may actually just barely end up holding this front. But the question is to what avail, is now 59 supply to the 137 supply of Bomber. Bomber just about to finish this base at the gold base. Does have this third very well saturated. Plenty of production facilities back home here for Bomber. You can see tons of reinforcements now streaming forward for Bomber. Not even mined out in his main yet. They'll still have that 1 SCV spotting for that base. Looks like MarineKing's going to try and retake this gold expansion with this single orbital, but really does not have the defenses to hold this. I'm not sure this is actually the wisest decision, as Bomber will now spot this orbital command landing here, and MarineKing should actually have to lift this off fairly quickly, actually transferring a lot of SCVs over here along with a lot of his marines. Looks like he's going to try and move forward and hold this gold expansion position, but Bomber's going to siege up his tanks in time, and that's going to be it for MarineKing. Not going to be able to take this gold expansion. Not really sure how he's going to get himself back into this game. See Planetary Fortress over here for Bomber. Has his gold expansion up already. MarineKing looks like he's going to try and circumvent the army of Bomber. Might try and go all in into the main, do a doom drop of sorts. Bomber, though, shelling away at this gold base, and you can see Bomber seeing MarineKing trying to outposition him, but MarineKing's going to actually attack straight into this planetary. Will he be able to take it out? Taking a lot of losses there, and there's the GG. MarineKing just going to GG out, not able to take out this gold base. Realizing he's too far behind, Bomber actually starting to do a drop at the exact same time. So MarineKing knew he was probably going to lose his main, wasn't going to be able to take the gold base. So Bomber ends up winning the game, guys, and we are going to be moving into a final and deciding game number 3. Very solid play by Bomber. Got his advantage like he did in that game number 1, but this time managed to hold on to it, did not allow MarineKing to catch him off guard and steal the win out from underneath him. So the series will be tied up 1-1, guys. We'll be going into game number 3 in just a moment. Please subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already. You can always catch me and follow me on Twitter at VPNurseGame. For now, guys, peace easy. I'll be back with game number 3 in just a moment.